Okay, good evening all. Good evening. Okay, fine. Today we are going to discuss on the subject accident causation models and investigation. Okay. So far you had lot of case studies we discussed, correct? You linked the accident to the different PSM elements, am I right? So what are the other things you use the case study and do then? Last time in the PSM elements you try to link the PSM elements, what are the lapses and how the accidents would have caused. Okay, you done it, fine, fair enough. So today what I am just going to discuss about is what are the different models which preach or which talk about accident investigation. Basically these theories are developed in order to support the people who performs accident investigation in a way to perform in a better way or otherwise in a effective way. We perform accident investigation, but if you know the preset or pre-causes, so the sequence of events which could lead to an accident, it will be easy for you to approach it and find out the various causes behind the incidents. In general, when you talk about it, it may not be a very clear evidence or clear single cause for any accident. Do you believe that accident would have been resulted in a single cause? It may be possible in a highly technological way or a highly complex industry. There would be possible that there would be only one single cause which directly attribute or contribute to an accident, but in general when you discuss it, so probably there was sequence of event which led to an accidents. So here we are going to discuss about what are the different models or different accident causation models developed over a period of time and how it is transformed from behavioral based to the say lack of controls like engineering. Initially it started, these theories were developed by psychologists, later on it is transformed to engineers who taken forward, and not only the human factors which directly led to an accident, but it was mainly due to the lack of control, the management control, so that when you attack, when you just make a stringent programs where we could able to avoid an accident or avoid any repetition of accidents. So that is the way the theory is transformed from human approach to the engineering approach. Let us go one by one. So this is the agenda today. So I am just going to start with incident causation theories. The first theory was developed by H.W. Hendrich, the theory which called as domino theory. The first theory which he developed or first safety causation model which was developed by Hendrich was in 1931. That was the first model we generally called as axioms of safety. So Hendrich was called as the father of safety to some extent. He was basically a psychologist who developed a model stating that what are the sequence of events or factors which lead to an accident. That was the first theory, that is we are going to discuss about it. So in addition to that, we are going to just have an idea about epidemiological theory, human factor theory, why the persons commit some mistakes. Certain things are voluntary or intentional, certain things are unintentional. We do errors, right? Certain things we can call it as an errors, sometimes we call it as a mistake. So that part we are going to discuss about where people fails, what are the causes behind the failures, it can be intentional or unintentional, we are going to discuss on that. Then system theory, how the system fails which led to an accident. Then combination theory, it is nothing but combination of all the theory, there were series of complex factors which led to an accident, that also we can have an idea. Then finally we come to the Frankfurt model which was developed or which was framed or which comes out in 1980s, which totally the transformation from human part to the engineering part. Still when domino theory comes by Hendrich, it was purely a human oriented idea behind. If I say that there are different theories, we generally call it as in safety. When you talk about DuPont theory, generally it says that 90% of the accidents are due to human failures, right. When you talk about Hendrich come with a theory stating that around 80 to 90% of the accidents are due to the human failures. When it comes to the Frankfurt, it is a totally a transformation. So human failures can be controlled better in a through a management control. So here comes more or less 50-50. 50% attributed to the human failures and 50% attributes to by engineering. So, we will just discuss on all those things. Okay, probably today I will end up with theory, or otherwise how to build the leading accident investigation team. So, the class is going to be continued tomorrow. So, tomorrow we are going to discuss about how to gather the information, how do you perform an investigation, okay, if at all there is an accident. So, you are authorized or you are empowered or you are given a responsibility to investigate an accident, how to go about it from scene 1, how to preserve the evidence, how to approach, how to gather the evidence, right, how to conclude. So, all these things we are going to discuss on that. In addition to that, there are some methodologies, investigation methodology, which may be useful for you to derive the root causes. Okay, there are different causes. How do you correlate how this sequence would lead to an accident? How do you come to conclusions? So, probably some of the methodologies like FTA. FTA is nothing but fault tree analysis. You people are familiar with that, right? For different approach, but same FTA can be useful or used for investigating an accident to identify the sequence of causes which led to an accident. So, probably we will work 1 or 2 cases we consider and we perform a FTA for those things. Next, 5M methods. 5M stands for man, machines, methodology, then materials, and 5th M is for mother nature. It is nothing but an environment. In order to bring it to M, mother nature has come. So, probably in each of these 5 elements what went wrong, and we try to develop a fishbone model applying YY technology, YY techniques or some other technique to derive what are the contributing causes in pertaining to man, machine, method, material, and finally to the environment, say mother nature. Then comes 5Y methods. Here implicitly we say that as a 5Y. What is 5Y method? Why. First start with why this accident happened. So, again put a question why and try to get a answer for that, and chain of whys you form to finally come to the conclusion of root cause. It is not required you have to stop at 5Y. As long as you get a root cause, you need to extend it. It can be 7Y, 10Ys or whatever it is, but good investigator can complete an accident in generally in 5 to 7Ys. Okay. Means that you should not leave your agenda, go beyond that. You need to be focused and get a derivatives through these questions. Probably you will get a good result in 5 to 7Ys. So, finally comes ETA, event tree analysis. Generally I will just tell about the methodology, but more or less event tree analysis may not be much useful in the accident, because the reason is event tree is a forward thinking, correct, fault tree is a reverse thinking. So, from the accidents we can go back and try to identify the causes, but event tree is something small failures, from there you can just go forward and see that what potential an incident can happen, right. So, this will be also tool which can be used to just, it is a proactive technique which you can identify the proactive way of identifying the causes and to prevent it, correct. This all these things we are going to discuss in next 2 days. This is the first theory I told you, domino theory, which was brought down by W.H. Hendrich. He is basically a psychologist who developed the domino theory. The purpose of this accident causation model is to support people who had performed investigation in order to have a better understanding about causes, so that you can just come with the proper identification of root causes in order to have recommendation in place to prevent or avert an accidents, correct. The first one what he told is, based on his research, he concluded in a way that 88% of accidents are caused by unsafe acts of the people. What is meant by unsafe act? What is mean by unsafe act? Act is nothing but what we do. What is unsafe act? Which is not a safe action, correct, simple as it is. Take an example, when you drive a car in IIT premises, what is the speed limit? Pardon? 40 kilometers per hour, assume that it is right. So, if at all you drive at 45 kilometers, then it is going to be a unsafe fact. Whatever the action by individual which is not a safe one, in the sense which is not being followed as per the rules, as per the standards, right, then it is said to be a unsafe act. It is deviation from the set norms, procedures, rules, regulations and the policy of the company, then it is said to be an unsafe act. So, 88% of the accidents as per the theory of Henrich are resulted because of unsafe act. Then 10% by unsafe actions or the conditions. The prevailing conditions where a person cannot perform a safe job, maybe the noisy area, or maybe that there is no proper illumination. I drive a car, okay, it is a foggy situation, there is a rain. So, I drive a car properly, but because of the surroundings, because of the conditions where I could not perform a safe job, which led to an 10% of reason behind it. Then 2% by act of God, correct. He proposed a 5-factor accident sequence in which each factor would actuate the next step in the manner of toppling dominoes land in a row. What he identified is, he identified like a brick, a domino. It is a result of, the last one is a result of preceding event, right. The fourth one is a result of third is a result of second. So, he developed a series of factors. He said that these were a contributing factor, the preceding event is a contributing factor for the successive events. So, what is that? Just come from reverse. As a result of an accident, people get injury. Injury is a result of accident. If there is no accident, there may not be injury. So, why these accidents are happening? Accidents are happening due to immediate cause. Immediate cause is nothing but unsafe act or a unsafe conditions. When you talk about unsafe act, it is action or a act being committed or being done by a human. It is mainly focused on a human element. Why these unsafe acts and conditions are resulting? It is a result of fault of person, right. Generally again it is categorized into two, it is personal factor or second one is a job factor. I am talking about the fourth domino. Unsafe act and conditions are the immediate cause. Immediate causes are result of fault of person, or it is called as two things, again you can segregate into two. One is a task based, means that the person what he is doing is unsafe, or second one is job factor, which leads to an unsafe act or condition. So, why it is resulting? It is resulting because of social, environmental or ancestry, because the way the people come up, the culture where people brought up, the practices what they followed from their birth, which resulted in this sort of basic behaviors. This is the theory which was developed by Mr. Henrich in 1931, correct. You understand? This theory says that 90% of the accidents are due to the human failures. Could you get my point? So, whenever you go for accident investigation, how do you apply this theory? Okay, take an example. I will narrate an accident right now. Let us discuss about it. It is a real accident which I come across. Okay, it was a phosphoric acid tank. You know the properties of phosphoric acid? What is the property of phosphoric acid? It is corrosive. Corrosive to human or metal. It is highly corrosive to the metal, but corrosive to the human, in the sense like sulfuric acid, it will not have much corrosive to the person, means that if at all H2SO4 or sulfuric acid, a person comes into contact, what will happen? It will become a burn, severe burn. Your drop of acid can create a hole in your this thing, but phosphoric acid it can take a bath, in the sense it was not so corrosive to the human body, but it eaten away the metals. If at all you store in the pipe, MS pipe, later on if you come and see, probably you won't see a pipe, means that it is highly corrosive to the metals. So generally the phosphoric acid is being stored in a big storage tank, which is basically rubber lined tank, because if it is a MS tanks, what will happen, it will result in a corrosion, then you cannot be able to store. So generally the phosphoric acid is being stored in a tank with a rubber lining. During the shutdown, it's basically I am talking about a fertilizer plant accident. So during the shutdown activity, what happened is they given a contract to a contractor to perform relining of the rubber line, means that the rubber line were peeled off or there were some damages, it was asked the contractor to repair the rubber lining. So this activity will go for a say 10 to 15 days. So the activities are keep on going. So generally after 6th day, the person performed the job, there were some crew, some 5 to 6 people crew were performing the rubber lining replacement or rubber lining repair. So during that, I mean when they completed on the 6th day, they wanted to just go away. So how this, generally they will peel off the rubber and stick the new rubber in the MS body. So they use a glue, because for the rubber to fix with the MS you have to have a glue. So that glue was used to paste in the MS tank. So when they wanted to go on the 6th day, when they just come out, they found that there was big, I mean there was a raining around. So they decided what to do. So there was a blue tanks which was lying outside. So they decided that the tank was so big, manhole was so big, so they taken the glue drums and kept inside the phosphoric acid tanks. And what happened? They closed the manhole also. Just left the site. Next day they came for the work. When they came, there were 2 people reported to the site. The first person asked the second person, okay, I just do the preparatory activities, you just go and take the work permit, because it is a maintenance activities. The person has to take a work permit to perform a job. He asked his colleague as the second person to go and get a work permit, and I will take care of the preparatory work. The second person went for taking a permit. When he just returned back, he found that the person was lying inside the tank. Immediately he shouted, the supervisor, contractor, everyone has come. Just when they just went inside, they found a heavy odor. So probably they just come out, they went with a breathing apparatus or something, they rescued the person and they found that the person was died. This was the history, this was the story. How do you apply this theory? You understand? You understand the story? How do you apply that? What is the last domino? That's last event? It's a fatality. Fatality was the last domino, means that 5th one, it's a result. Why there was a fatality?
Due to the person who was.
Let's go by this domino effect. Injury is a fatality. What was the accident? Suffocation. Suffocation or toxication, whatever it is, inside the confined space or inside the storage tank, that would be the accident. What are the unsafe act and conditions? Unsafe act and condition based on the story what I explained to you.
Everything was closed.
Condition was?
Everything, the tank was closed.
Means that you can talk about oxygen is less, correct, possible, then or otherwise it's toxic, it's a toxic atmosphere. Inside there would be a toxic atmosphere or less oxygen or combination of this, all these things. That was the conditions, correct or not? Then what are the unsafe fact?
Without knowing
Checking the
carelessness.
Okay, fine. Working alone itself a unsafe fact, correct or not? In an industry, lone working itself a biggest hazard. Lone working itself a biggest hazard. While entering inside the confined space, you need to go with the permit, but before he send a person to take a permit, he entered inside it. So it's called as unauthorized entry. Permit means what? You taken a authorization before you enter for work, whereas you are not taken. You send a person to take the permit, unless otherwise you ensure, then how did you enter inside? So it is called as unauthorized entry, correct or not? Then what are the other unsafe acts? You are closing the manholes, right? Placing, consider that storage tank for storing the glue. Glue is nothing but a highly volatile materials. Throughout the night it was kept inside and it was kept closed. What happens? Because of this volatility, it spreads all around the tank, which forms a toxic atmosphere, correct? Who permitted these people to keep inside? You understand? So before you enter inside the confined space, you need to ascertain that oxygen level is 19.5 to 21.5 in the safe limit. Is there any toxic gases present inside? You need to ensure it. All these things were not done, correct? So unsafe act here is unauthorized entry. Second one we can call it as, what do people say? Alone working, right? So all these things are unsafe act. So what is the basic cause immediate? Again we need to categorize into two, as I said. One is the job factor, second one is a personal factor. Personal factor may be the person may or may not be aware about the confined space work permit system, correct or not? He may be knowledgeable or he done a mistake. All these things comes under personal factor. Then coming to job factor, it is a confined space, it is a closed space where you need to allow, keep the manholes open, and you need to allow air to freely pass, and you need to ensure the air is, you have sufficient oxygen to breathe. So all these things comes under job factor. Then comes finally is a social or environmental factor here. What are the things? Whether the person competence, qualification, who ensured, the way he brought up. So all these things considered as a final environmental factor. You understand how do you apply this model for any investigation? Take an investigation, the final result we know that, from that you just go backwards and try to identify the causes. Causes may not be straightforward. It is a sequence of factors, complex of events, sometimes it is interactive also. One factor leads to a other factor. It is not act seldom or separately. So many of the times it is merged together and resulted in an accident. The series of events, the complex events which led to an accident. Are you people clear with what I was talking about? So this is the first theory, comes about accident causation. Again Henrich has given a triangle stating about, in a workplace, for every accident that cause a major injury, there are 29 accidents that cause minor injuries and 300 accidents that cause no injuries. In other words, for every 300 unsafe acts, there are 29 acts that cause minor injuries and 1 act that causes minor injuries up to and including death. So what do you understand from this? Every time you do an unsafe act, not necessary, it results in accidents. But over a period of time, it is not necessary in 330th time only it results in an incident. It can be anywhere. But he developed a pattern stating that for every 330 acts, there would be one major accident. It is not necessary it should be 330th one, it can be first one. But he developed a pattern stating that every 300 incidents, say 300 unsafe acts leads to 29 minor accidents and 329 minor and acts leads to one major accidents. Okay. Why this theory is so important for a safety officers? It is a pattern I am saying, it is a statistics, it is an analysis. Based on his analysis, he concluded that the pattern of serious accident is a way that for every 300 unsafe acts is resulted in an accident. It is not necessary it should be on 330th time, it can be a first time also. Understand? The idea behind this theory, why it is so important, so prevalent, is when you capture an unsafe act, take right action so that you can able to prevent an accident. The outcome of the theory and application of theory here is very important. Here do not wait for major accident. Even a small unsafe act, small thing, near miss, I slipped, there was no injury, there was no fracture. Shall I go? No, you have to come back and say why this wire is kept like this. It can be buried or it can be properly rerouted. You understand? It is an unsafe act. 2 times I was walking. Okay, the third time I can just go and hit in the chair where I resulted in a cut which may lead to a stricture. You understand what I am trying to say? Many of the times it happens. People take it granted that it happens, but not necessary every time you will escape with a with or without injury. So that is an idea behind it. Clear? Interesting theory. What are the types of human failures? Generally human failures categorized into 2: violations, human errors. Violations are generally intentional. Human errors are unintentional. Intentionally you do certain things. Again there is a pattern: routine, situational and exceptional. Right? What is a routine violation? What are the routine violation? Doing something unknowingly is a violation. I think that this is the way to work, right? I don't know, I don't recognize that as an violation. In the road, for example, when you just go in the road, there is a red signal, everybody crossing the red signal, what will you do? You will stop or you will pass? We will also try to pass, because everybody does the same. Unknowingly we do mistakes, consider that it is not a mistake. You understand? Generally those sort of things are generally called as routine. It is a pattern. Unknowingly or incidentally we do certain things without knowing that as a mistake, which comes under routine category, right? Then comes situational. What is meant by situational? It is not intentional, because the workplace limitations, there are some limitations by which I am doing a violation. Okay. Take an example. Okay, my car, I have to reach to railway station or something by 6 o'clock or 6:30. When I go, there is a heavy rain, my bumper is not working. What I will do? I will stop the car. If you stop, it is good, right? But it is a situation, because I just wanted to do that, but the conditions which is not allowing me to perform. Okay, in the bus, how many people are using bus for transportation inside? How do you people move around? Cycle? Cycle and bus. Okay, when you climb in the bus, if you do not have seat, what will you do? Stand. But standing is allowed? Standing is allowed? It is what? Which category? Routine violation or it is a situational violation?
There is a thing to hold.
Okay.
If it is standing is not allowed, then that force is not also.
Okay. I would say that it can be a routine thing. It can be considered as a, you understand that standing in the bus, generally it is not designed for it. People will have a comfort, this thing, seats, right? Standing is not, I mean the bus is not designed to carry people in a standing position, correct? If it is a violation, that is a routine violation. Then comes situational. Certain things, it is a heavy crowd, there is no place, will you go in the steps also? Okay, take an example, same example I will use it. Okay, holding what to say, the handrail, yes, fine, but standing in the steps, is it a routine or situational? You understand what I am trying to, routine? Okay, depends. Okay, you have to come to the class, there is an exam, all these things you will consider. So that may comes on the situational. What is an exceptional? It is something like that. It is not every time people are not doing. I just wanted to safeguard my machines or safeguard. So I am just trying to do something to protect it, because this situation warrants, because I am going to be in the danger. To protect me from the danger, I am trying to do something where I just commit some violation, correct. My brake is failed, something like that, where I have to try to do something else to protect me, that comes under the category of acceleration. So, all these things comes under the violations. Then comes onto human errors. What is a human errors? It is basically again categorized into two: mistakes and skill based errors. Mistakes are rule based and knowledge based, right. What is a mistake? There are two things we are discussing: violations are intentional, human errors are not intentional, means that you are not knowing you are doing some mistake, correct. Certain things are rule based. Okay, I have to drive at 40 kilometers, which is what? Rule based. Here I am going at 55 kilometers or 50 kilometers, it is what? Breaking the rules. Okay, I am a control room operator in a process plant. Okay, there are set alarms, there are some indicators or valves, or there are some gauges or some sensors, some pressure gauges or whatever it is. The high alarm, low alarms. So, all these things are there. Low alarms are rule based or not? It is set as per the norms, means that I should not go beyond these lower limits. So, if at all I am violating, that is called as rule based mistakes. Okay, I get an indication, whereas I am not taking any action for it. So, that comes under rule based. Next comes knowledge based. I am not aware, somebody set a standard, but it was not told, or I was not aware about the procedures or the process where I do mistakes, that comes under knowledge based. Then comes skill based errors, slip of actions. There are two controls. Okay. There is a control board, there are different controls. Instead of operating pump number 301A, I just switch on or switch off the pump number 301B, means that comes slip of action. I was trying to do that, but because of whatever can be the reason, it can be there is no proper labeling, there may be no proper indications, but instead of this I touch the other one, instead of on I just switched off, it is possible, right. So, there are so many switches. There is one control for this projector, one control for this computer, one control for the TV, one control for the camera. Assume that you can take a trial over here, but in the process plant will you be able to do that, unless otherwise there is proper labeling, unless you know what is this switch meant for. If it is not there, then probably you will be committing an action of slip of action. Then comes lapses of memory. What to do? You are provided with some instructions where you are not followed. So, that may be result in a human errors. So, this is something epidemiological theory. Study causal relationship between environmental factors and the accident. It is influenced by the environmental. Predisposition characters or situational characters. Thing is, it is about environmental factors mainly, perceptions. Some of the perceptions not necessary it is right. You assume that things what you do is maybe right, but which may result in some sort of mistakes or failures. Then second one is a situational characteristics, risk assessment by the individuals, peer pressure, priority of the supervisor or attitude. There are two things in it. Your assumptions may be wrong, certain things you are influenced or forced by somebody's instructions. So, both the things can be possible, which can also cause an accident. One of the things when I talked about domino theory, I talked about basic causes are of coming into two categories. One is a job factor, second one is a personal factor. This is expansion of personal factor. Why this human factors theory comes? Why there may be a lapses from the human front? It can be due to the overload. What is meant by overload? What is meant by overload? You are expected to perform more than your capability. I have to sleep for 6 hours. So, I am continuing 2 shifts, right, 2 shifts in the sense 8 hours, 16 hours. So, traveling and all these things, if I am not getting a proper sleep, it can be due to the fatigue. Okay, repeatedly I am doing a job over a period of time. Okay, night shifts, I am not practiced to work in the night shifts. So, my reflex time, my reaction time would be much slower. In this case, I am continuing prolonging my shifts, my working. Okay, I am just working in the computer, as say assume after 1 or 2 hours I tend to do mistake because I lack focus, I am just overloaded, by my brain overloaded. So, those sort of things generally comes under overload. Environmental factor, noise and distractions, internal factor, personal problems, emotional stress, then situational factors, unclear instructions and risk levels. So, all these things may be resulting in a overload. Second thing is inappropriate response, detecting a hazard but not correcting it. Many of the times we seen something going wrong, but we are not correcting. What will be the effects? What will be the result? As we see the first theory, Henrich, 330 incidents. So, it is a pattern. So, every unsafe act of 300 or so, there is big accidents is bound to happen. You are repeatedly seeing some sort of violations, some unsafe acts, some unsafe conditions where you are not correcting. So, it is going to end up in a bigger accident. That is one way to look into it. So, inappropriate activities, performing tasks without requisite training. So, people has to work. First of all, a person has to be convinced that he knows. Without knowing, without authorized, whenever you do some certain activities, whenever you perform something, it is bound to result in some sort of mistakes. The mistakes may lead to an accident. So, misjudging the degree of risk involved a given task. When a person is performing, he may not aware about the potential problems. He thought that nothing, it is like a room. Take an example, the case study what I told. The person inside went inside a storage tank. Why he went? If he knows that there is no oxygen, whether he would have gone? He thought that it is a room. He was working in that space for last 6 days. Last 6 days he was comfortable. So, what is going to happen for me? That is an intention. Means that he did not know what is the potential problem inside. His judgment is not correct, right? Many of the times it used to happen. Okay, the systems theory. System is a group of interacting and interrelated components that form a unified whole. Means that people, it is generally called as PEME relations, people, equipment, environment. So, these all interactive elements. If these interactions are not proper, if there is any lapse over that, there is a possibility it may result in an accident. So, the changes in the pattern of interaction can increase or decrease the probability of accident occurring. Incidentally, okay, the place is new, the environment is new, right? Whether the person can perform properly? Not necessary. Okay, the place is new, even the machine is new, whether the person can perform safely? Take an example, a person riding a vehicle, two-wheeler, Yamaha, right? The same person is asked to drive a Honda two-wheeler. Will it be, whether he will be comfortable? He needs some adjustment, correct? Even how to apply a gear, the brake control, even the person to person, the brake controls, the gear actions. So, all these things will be varying. The similar way, when it comes to machine man interactions in respect to environment, if there are no matching, there is always a possibility it may result into a accident. All these theories are talking about one thing very important. As an investigator, as a safety person, as a general person, you should know all accidents are caused, it is not happen. So, first and foremost thing which you need to believe is accidents are caused. Caused by what? Various factors. The factors are basically explained by different safety professionals from Henrich to Frankberg. In the Henrich theory, it was more of the human front. 80 to 90% of the accidents are resulted in human failures. So, when you know when you believe this theory, then you can find the cause and you can do something to prevent an accident. So, basic thing is very simple, accidents are caused, it is not happened. Combination theory is nothing but no accident is straightforward, it is a complex of different factors, different theories which led to an accident. For some accident a given model may be very accurate, whatever the model we discussed, human factors, system theories, epidemiology theories, it may be straightforward, the result may be only we can just get a result by applying that theory, but majority of the accidents it is not, you cannot find the results by applying a theory, single theory. So, you need to understand the cases and you need to work out on different causes, by applying your knowledge you can able to get a results. So, actual cause may combine parts of several different models, it may not be exactly you can take from one model, but you need to apply the knowledge of the different models, so that you can able to identify the causes. Majority of the time it is not going to be a single cause, it is going to be the different causes which led to an accident. Okay. We will break for 5 minutes. Okay, we will break for 5 minutes, then we will go with the next theory. So far Hendrich as a psychologist, his approach is only about the human factor. You have to tell him, I think he asked, yeah. Fine, let us move on to the next model, incident causation model. It is generally called as a Frankfurt's model, right. Frankfurt is the person who developed this model, and he just brought this model and he introduced the model in 1980s. When you see the domino models, it is 5 factors he generally demonstrated. It's I mean the dominoes are a result of preceding event. So, these are 5 dominoes which keep in the row, and it is a result of sequential events, that is the way he demonstrated. Here he talk about more on the personal front, when you could able to prevent unsafe fact and condition, that is immediate causes, then accident can be averted. That is the theory which domino told, and the approach of domino model is also in that fashion. Here the Frankfurt model, which he given a different dimension for the domino model, right. Here he introduced 2, in addition to this domino, he is given a two new concepts, the influence of management and managerial errors, and loss as a result of an accident could be production losses. In the first domino model, if you look into it, the final one, as a result of accident, he said only about injuries, right. More or less this accident theories was derived only in the front of human, it does not talk about property damage, it does not address about downtime, it was not talking about any material damage or property damage, right. But accidents, a fire is an accident or not? Not necessary, it is going to be only kill the person, it is going to devastate the entire premises, it is going to end up in the property damage too, correct. So, when Frankfurt comes, he just introduced the concept of total loss control. Result of accident not necessary only to be an injury, it can be, he generally termed as loss. What is a loss? Loss is an avoidable resources, I mean wastage of any avoidable resources is said to be a loss. The loss can be anything, property damage or material damage or a downtime or equipment failures. Finally, it can be an accident also, it can be an injury also. So, that is one part he is trying to do. So, in addition to that, immediate causes, basic causes can be better controlled by management. Immediate causes are result of lack of management control, that also he established. You understand how the transformation of human safety into the process safety. If I talk about dominoes, domino theory or Hendrich theory is not generally addressed about process safety. After 1980s, when Frankfurt model has evolved. So, he talk about losses. When losses comes, the process safety comes into line. Okay. Here Frankfurt models establish one more accident pyramid. If really you look into a Henrich pyramid, which talk about 330 cases. Out of 330 cases, he said about every 300 unsafe facts there would be 29 minor injuries and 1 major injuries. Here there is a different concept evolved here. Here he taken a concept of 641 events. Event is nothing but any unwanted event. 641 events, the pattern is similar to that. 600 no visible injury or damage, which 600 events would lead to an 30 property damage incidents. 630 no visible injury or property damage accident would lead to a minor injuries and finally would result in a serious disabling injuries. Take an example. How many people, how many of you have witnessed a construction work activity? Almost everyone. How they will transfer a brick? Okay, there is a high rise building from ground floor or something, assume that you have to transfer a brick. So, generally people stand in a queue, they try to throw the bricks. Did you see or not? Generally they stand in a queue, they throw the brick, then they pass on, finally it reaches the final spot. Assume that 600 times they are throwing the bricks. Bricks tend to slip and fall, nothing happened to a person or to the brick. You understand what I am trying to say? 600 times they are throwing, it falls, brick falls, nothing happened to fingers of the person or nothing happened to the brick even. So, which is a no visible injury or damage case. 30 times bricks fall and broken into pieces, right. 10 times there was a minor bruises or minor scratches to the fingers of the human who handles. One time there was a fracture. Could you correlate these things? So, Frankfurt comes with a pattern because he is basically from the insurance industry also. He developed a pattern for every major event or major incidents. There would be similar 640 different events which would have been resulted in a minor injuries or property damage or no visible losses. So, this is the theory where Frankfurt tried to evolve. Nowadays almost everyone is following the same. So far we discussed about two major models. One is Henrich model, second one is the Frankfurt. When Henrich talks about it, it talks only about injuries, whereas the Frankfurt models talks about losses. Losses could be injury as well as the property damage. Here he introduced a new concept also, lack of control. These unsafe facts and conditions can be managed by management control. It is a lack of control or lack of systems. So, that is where Frankfurt introduced a new theory where the safety management or accident prevention theory evolves or runs behind this Frankfurt theories. Take an example, I mean now we need to understand why we have to do an investigation. Is it necessary? Why we have to conduct an investigation? Each and every accident needs to be investigated. Forget about it is a major or minor or near miss. As per the theories, if you could able to prevent a near miss, you can avert a major accident also. If you can identify the correct root causes and put systems in place, put controls in place where you could able to prevent a major accidents, correct. So, investigations are necessarily to be done. The reason behind is when you really investigate, when you identify the root cause, when you put corrective action in place where you could able to avoid a major accident. Incident investigation is a fact finding exercise, not a fault finding exercise, correct. Many of the times people see or look investigator as a fault finding person, but it is duty of the investigator to make it very clear your role is to identify the facts in order to support them, help in protecting them. That is we need to make it very clear. So, understanding the root causes of the accident will help in avoiding the similar mishaps in the future, identifying the correct root causes, which will enhance the management to put the corrective action in place, corrections in place, preventive action in place, so that again repetition of similar incidents can be averted. It enables us to improve the management of risk in the future. The similar learnings can be taken forward, similar incident can be prevented. Demonstrates the commitment to effective health and safety and improving employee morale and thinking towards health and safety. Demonstrates the commitment. Whose responsibility? When I talk about the Factories Act, right, who is responsible for prevention of accident? It is an occupier, correct? The owner of the company, the occupier of the occupier of the company. It is his responsibility to ensure the workers are safe, right, healthy, as well as the environment is safe for a person to work. It is a responsibility of the occupier. So, the management is committed. If there is anything goes wrong, then it is his responsibility to step in, to reiterate his commitment, to correct it, to prevent similar accidents in the future. So, which will improve the morale of the employee. Assume that where I am working in an industry where there are repeated accidents, how the person will perform? It can happen to anyone, right? It happened to my friend, I seen. It happened to my colleague. So, tomorrow it can happen to me. How he can perform better? So, it is important for a management to perform, to improve the morale of the people and demonstrate their commitment, so that people morale can be boosted. So, they have to ensure that people are at right morale, people follows their procedures, policies what derived by the management. Building and leading the accident investigation team. First and foremost thing is very important thing is constitute a right investigation team. When you talk about different theories, you have seen different models, right, different system theories, epidemiology theory, all these things. Okay, when you go to the real investigation, when the investigation team, when you form, the team is supposed to understand the causes, right, understand the system, understand the process, understand the behavior of the people, understand the situation. So, it is not necessary every time a single investigator can investigate. So, generally an investigation will be performed by a team. The team, in the sense, the team can be a multidisciplinary team, right. Investigation team shall be formed considering level of expertise required to meaningfully and strategically analyze the technicalities of the incident. Team shall be considered with minimum 3 and maximum 5 and shall include members from department not connected with the incident. So, we need to perform investigation unbiased, correct. If you select a team member from the same department or same area where the accident happened, there is a possibility the result can be biased. In order to avoid it, select a people not connected with the incident, not connected with the team, or not connected with the department. So, it is better, right. The team leader shall be in the level of the department head, in the sense the person who has rich experience, say 10 to 15 years or 20 years of experience in the similar operations, or who has a thorough knowledge about the process or equipment. Sometimes it can be equipment, sometimes it can be a process. So, he should be appointed as a team leader. If required, additional resources from within the company itself or from the external agency can be mobilized to conduct the investigation, right. Certain things we do not have expertise, the company may not have an expertise. So, generally sometimes they hire a external agency. Take an example of Malaysian Airlines, who investigated an accident, external agencies. Generally Australia government is more keen in supporting them, because they need to know. Imagine the causes are unknown. Imagine every time when you go in the flight, what do you think? Will you imagine at least once it happened? At least immediately after the incident, 2-3 times whenever I just board in the flight, I used to think whether this flight will go safely. If unknown causes for accidents, it is leading to lot of confusions, correct or not? So, the investigation team shall be formed within 24 to 48 hours of the incident. Why it is so important? It has to be immediately, it should start. It should start at the earliest, because when you start an investigation so fast, there is a possibility you can collect more evidences, correct. So, witnesses can tell correctly. After 2-3 days, generally whatever you are going to hear is a interpretations. It pass on to the people, and you will get a different version from the people, right. There are different tools when you just inquire a person how to investigate, and all we will talk about it, but you need to start an investigation at the earliest. The witness interviews of incident witness shall be conducted as soon as practicably possible. Please try to understand. If you allow a person, okay, you ask question one by one, people will give a different version. When you ask questions in general, what will you get? It may be different. The person's statement can be influenced by others' thoughts. In order to avoid it, you need to conduct a witness statement. You have to obtain a witness statement at the earliest. Try to separate people. Don't take any statement in a group. Take a person separately, ask them to write or give a statement from what he thinks, what he really wanted to say. It should not be influenced by other thoughts. If there are multiple witnesses to an incident, interview should be conducted separately and not in group setting. Don't try to keep people sit together and ask them. It is not like a group discussion or brainstorming. You need to separate the people, you need to take separate statements. Probably then later on you can just able to verify and conclude it, but don't take statements in a group. The purpose of interview is to establish an understanding with the witness and to obtain his or her own words describing the event. Do put the witness who is probably upset at ease. You are not a police, right. Here the concept is they have to open their mouth. If they open their mouth, you will get some clues to conclude. Otherwise, if they are not open, if there is no openness in the interview, you will not get correct results. In the sense, you will not reach the root cause. It's end up somewhere in between. So, you need to ensure the person is at ease, and you have to open his mouth. That's very important. Okay. Emphasize the real reason for the investigation to determine what happened and why. Many of the times ask question to him where he gives some lead. It is an open question you need to raise. Don't ask for a closed question. In the sense, don't expect him to answer yes or no. Okay. You have to give him, throw him an open question so that you will get a lead. So, if you throw something, okay, yes or no question, it is easy for him, yes, no, whereas you will not get any lead to proceed further. So, as an investigator, you always think that just listen to him, don't talk, you should not talk more, whereas he should talk more, and you have to capture his views. That is very, very important. Let the witness talk, you listen, confirm that you have a statement correct, try to sense any underlying feelings of the witness. Whatever he says, you need to interpret, you need to ensure that he is giving a right statement, means that he is not covering the facts. Try to ensure it. Make short notes only during the interview. Witness interviews. Interviews of incidents witness shall be conducted as soon as practicable possible. If there are multiple witnesses to an accident, interview should be conducted separately and not in group settings. What are the do's for investigators? Put the witness who is probably upset at ease. That is first one. Let the witness talk and you listen. Confirm that you have the statement correct. Try to sense any underlying feelings of the witness. Make short notes only during the interview. Means that when you just intervening with him, that time take a notes. Don'ts. Intimidate the witness. Interrupt or prompt. Allow him to talk. Don't interrupt in between that. Okay, let his thoughts flows. Because of your question, it should not struck. Ask leading questions, open questions. Don't put some close end questions, yes or no. Try to lead the discussions, lead the interrogations. Show your own emotions. In the sense, you are concerned about the incident, you are concerned about the people. Your purpose is to find the facts, not to find any fault with the people. He should believe you. If he believes that you are here to punish him, what will happen? He will not open up. He try to hide the things. Correct? It should not be. So that you need to show your emotions. Here the purpose is different. You are sitting here to really know what went wrong. If you know that, you can able to suggest something which can be improve the conditions, which can improve the situations where it can be avoid an accident. That you need to ensure it, you need to reiterate it. Make lengthy notes while the witness is talking. Questions? There are some general questions that may be asked each time. Where were you at the time of accident? Right? Is it important or not? If you are somewhere away, sometimes the witness can hear some commands. Sometimes the witness seen some actions what the victim was done. Right? So it is very important. Unless otherwise you know that where he was exactly, you cannot understand that what sort of things you will get from him. So you need to know that where exactly the person was during the site of accidents. What were you doing at the time? Means that whether he is focused on something else or he concentrated and he knows what exactly happened. What did you see and hear? What are the environmental conditions, weather, light, noise at the time? Because it is so important, because whenever you immediate causes, there are two things. One is unsafe fact, second one is a condition. So you need to capture the condition, you need to know the situations. What was or what were the injured workers were doing at the time? What he observed from during the time of accident, what exactly the injured person has done. So that you need to know. In your opinion, what caused the accident? Whether it is very important. Who has to identify the cause? It is a duty of the investigator to finally conclude the cause, but you can get inputs from anyone. As an operator, as a person who witnessed, he may be familiar with the job, he may be familiar with the activity what the person was performed. So you can very well ask the question that you can get an input that what went wrong. If you are in his position, what you would have done it. So these are the questions, not exactly you have to ask that finally you conclude what went wrong, don't ask that, but probably you can put a word same thing coining that if you are be in the position of him, what you would have done. So that sort of things you can raise and you can just try to get that answer for that. Has this happened before? In the sense that act is a repetitive in nature, or this violation is a routine one, or situational one, or exceptional one. How do you get this? So not only him, the victim, everyone used to do that. Then it is a mistake of not the individual, it is a lack of control. You understand? So these sort of questions you have to go with the checklist. There are set of questions where there are set of checkpoints where you need to intervene, where you need to verify, where you need to check in order to conclude the causes. How might similar accident be prevented in the future? This as a suggestions you can very well ask to the witness, right. So first of all we started with accident causation model. Broadly we talk about two models, one is domino, second one is Frank-Bird models. The basic big difference between two models are, the first model Henrich developed, it is very particular about injuries, right. Then when Frank-Bird transformed demonstrated in 1986, he talked about two things. One is it is not only going to be any accident not only result in an injury, it also results in losses. Losses can be property damage or downtime or material damage and all these things. In addition to that, he thrown that immediate cause, that unsafe act and condition, the third domino which Henrich told, it is a result of management control, correct. So based on this, this is a transformation from occupational safety to process safety. Then we started with accident investigation. So first step is identifying the right team and gathering the information. So accident investigation is all about fact finding exercise. It is not to blame anyone, not to fix responsibility for any accidents. So incident scenes, First and foremost thing is incident scene should be secured, it should not be disturbed, right. Incident scene survey should focus on establishing position of individuals, equipment, materials before, during and after the incident. Many of this film you would have seen it. A police comes, first what they used to do? They used to draw lines in order to ensure that where the position and all these things. It is more or less similar in the sense you secure the area, in the sense barricade the area, do not allow other people to come and disturb, because you need to exactly know what happened during the time of accidents. So, you have to secure. So, diagrams or photographs shall be used as appropriate to document the incident scene and shall be appropriately labeled with a description of the image, right. Next one is collect a physical evidence. What is physical evidence? Physical evidence necessary for the investigation may be catalogued and removed from the further investigation. You would have taken some material, pipeline breakage. The pipeline material is very important, because you need to know whether there is a problem with the material of constructions. You may be required that material has to be sent to the lab to conduct a metallurgical study, correct. Some of the things, okay, wheel breakage, assume that there is a grinding wheel which broken and resulted in a head injury to the operator. You need to know that the abrasive is what he used is of the right type, correct. So, this physical evidence you need to preserve. Certain things you may require for conducting further investigation, further analysis to conclude. So, you need to preserve it. Prior to descriptive testing of any physical evidence, approval shall be obtained from the head of investigation team. Review relevant documents. What are the other documents you require to review? The incident investigation committee shall review the documents relevant to the circumstances surrounding the incident, like work permits, material certificate, operating procedures, inspection audit schedules, previous incident and near miss reports, because this will be giving a clue for what went wrong. Take an example of first incident what I told, phosphoric acid tank where the person comes. So, here when you just go behind and trace the things like work permit, material certificate, operating procedures, so you come to know that exactly what went wrong. Again you correlate with the dominoes, injury or the loss, it is a result of preceding event accident. The accident is result of immediate cause. Immediate cause is unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. By reviewing all these documents, you can come to know that whether accident is led by unsafe act or conditions. Again it goes to the basic cause, job factor and personal factors. It is a result of lack of control. You get my point. So, that is the way we need to go and identify, collect evidence in order to conclude the root causes. The root causes are so important. If you identify the right root causes, you can be able to put some corrective actions in place, so that a major accident or repetitive accidents can be prevented. So, that is about it. Tomorrow we will talk about the investigation methodologies. As I explained that there are different methodologies which will helpful for you to conclude the root causes or series of events. So, those things we will discuss about tomorrow. Probably tomorrow we will play some videos. From the videos we will apply different techniques like fault tree or 5M methods, using the fishbone or 5Y methods. We try to identify the causes and finally root causes, right. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, thank you.